remember we were in Portland, and it was a forward from North Carolina State, I think, with Kenny Carr, and he coned me with a pass during warm-ups. I was down, the head down, typing, and errant pass got away and blasted me in the head. My glasses were flying off, and Kenny Carr came over to Polly, and Bird's at the other end. He noticed everything. He saw that. He couldn't wait to hunt me down in the bar that night back at the hotel. He got like 47 against the Trailblazers, but all he cared about was getting in my face. He said, "Scoop, I saw that. You was pissed." He says, "Your glasses went flying," and the whole thing. You know how he could get. So it was that kind of like back and forth stuff. And so I made every effort with Larry. I have his cell phone. He's turned off the faucets, and this should be obvious to you guys, but I guess if you pay him and you do a commercial or something, he appears. I'm glad, because I was worried about his health. I know he became a granddad and he's Social Security eligible, and he's got a no-show job at the Pacers now. But most of the time in Florida, we see him at a spring training. He likes the baseball. He comes over to Fort Myers every now and then, and Indiana. But the kids are grown. I think his daughter works for the Pacers, just like I said, shut off the faucets. Max couldn't get him to help him with his book. I would take that personally if I played with him for 9 years, whatever, and won 2 championships.
Yeah,
that's really shutting off the faucets. And I know that like Bob, Ryan, and Jackie, they both did biographies with Larry. They would stay at his house. They were in the inner circle, and he's not returning their calls either. So I didn't take it personally. He wasn't calling me back, but it helped a lot. He did not warm up to strangers well. I understood that. He's shy, and he didn't like thinking people were trying to buy him or everybody needing something from him, and pushed back on that. He wouldn't have been a social media guy if we were playing today. He didn't like having his picture taken. He hated it at the airport when he was kind of found a quiet corner, and some jackass would go by and say, "Hey, there's Larry Bird." And then all of a sudden people around him and want autographs, and he just wanted his privacy. He used to go to the movies in the afternoon, Chestnut Hill. I'd see him over there. And, of course, we're like, "How come you go to the movie?" Well, number one, it was in the afternoon. There was nobody in the theater, so he could hide out. He had a hat on. And number two, it was cheaper. Matinees were cheaper, which for Larry, that meant a lot. I actually had a road rage incident with him. I was driving by Fenway Park, because he lived in Brookline, down at the end of Route 9 and back there where Hellenic College was. And I was getting near Fenway. I'm coming in on Park Drive, turning onto Boylston Street, and this giant Cadillac is being a real dick the way this car is driving. It was almost as if the car was trying to provoke me. I was flaring. And, all of a sudden I roar up against this guy, and I look over and it's him. He picked me out. He saw me. So he was messing with me in traffic. He loved that he got under my skin unknowing that it was him. That's stuff that used to happen. Well, the Celtics had a guy named Rick Roby, who was he's from Kentucky. He was 6'11" listed, but Larry called him footer because he said, you're a footer, you're a 7-footer. And, Larry had a long history with this guy because Joe B. Hall had recruited him to Kentucky. Larry wanted to play at Kentucky when he was in high school. Where he lives, Kentucky was kind of the blue chip program along with Indiana to the north. And Joe B. Hall thought he couldn't get a shot off in the SEC, and they brought in Rick Roby, who was slower, but he was 7 feet. And they won a national championship with Roby. And so they end up with the Celtics together. And Roby's, to this day, still a good old boy, drinking buddy, Kentucky. Ended up moving to Florida, of course, and his son played football for the Gators. But Roby ran with Larry. They were like-minded guys. And, of course, Roby was only playing like 8 minutes a night, and Larry had to get out there. And so Larry was the one paying the price for this lifestyle that they had on the road. And Red traded Roby for Dennis Johnson. He got a Hall of Fame guard because Phoenix they gave up on this guy way too early. The coach didn't like him, and Red sees that opportunity. He needed a physical guard. He gets a Hall of Fame guard who's coming into the prime of his career for Rick Roby, who played, another year or two, never did anything. Good guy. But it wasn't just the basketball. Part of it was to get Roby the hell out of town. And Larry was MVP the next 3 years. It was not a coincidence. It was a dual effect trade, bringing in an all-star guard and getting rid of the guy who was keeping Larry out at night. So that was part of it. Max will tell you, Max had the routine. There was the McDonald's across the street. I don't know if it's still there on Causeway, but there was. And, so he'd send Francis O'Brien could tell you this, the ball boy is still there. He's 70 years old. They'd go get bags of hamburgers, and Max would eat a bag of hamburgers before the game. And we wrote about that, and I, Larry's like, don't be writing about that. People think, we don't take care of ourselves. He says, that's the worst part of this job. He says, is staying in shape and, conditioning and diet and all that. He says, I'll tell you, he says, when I'm done playing, I'll be the fattest fuck you ever saw. He says, because I have no intention of staying with this regimen. He said, it's too hard. And he said, I'm just as bad as Max or anybody else. And then the one year he hurt his back, and this was a little later, and he was away from the thing for a couple of weeks, and he gained, I don't know, he said, I gained like 7-10 pounds while I was shut down for those 2 weeks. He said, I was eating wedding cakes every day. Why would you do that? He goes, who'd fuck up a wedding cake? They're good. It was the thing. So that was his mentality was, a wedding cake is by definition going to be good cake. So he ate only wedding cakes while he was on the shelf and gained all this weight. So yeah, he was funny talking about that. But